Dear friends, from the timeless collection of Kushwant Singh, let's read Namu, the Dhobhi. Let's begin with the story. Get out, Namu! Don't you dare show me your face again. Namu the Dhobhi is quiet. He is used to my saying that at least twice a month, ever since my stars decreed that my clothes should be lost or damaged by him and him alone. He is never ruffled. He would only say to my wife, Sister, give me the clothes. It beats me how this fellow became a Dhobhi and not a saint. Never seen such utter nonchalance. I met Namu for the first time in a film studio at Kolhapur. I knew he had been going about saying, PL Sahib and I entered the film industry at the same time. If only the clothes laundered by him were as neat and immaculate as the answers he gave. You should see him taking an awkward situation. Hardly a crease on his face, not a tenth of those on the clothes alleged to have been ironed by him. In a casual film starish manner, he tells, I have 8 pictures on these days, meaning, of course, he has been engaged to wash the clothes of the director, the actors, the actresses, and the cameraman working in 8 films. Namu is still in the film line. I walked out of it long ago. He has shifted from Kolhapur to Pune. He has been several assistants who used to keep busy getting their director pans and cigarettes whenever he felt like them, blossom into directors. Some of them made quite a name for themselves, but to Namu, one of them was still Chintya, another Antya, the nicknames of their non-descriptive days. We can understand a Dhobhi breaking the buttons on your clothes. It comes naturally to him. But Namu's tricks are of a higher order. Once, when I was going over the plot of a story with a film director who should walk in, but Namu in a natty shirt carrying a laundry load, I noticed the shirt. Before I could ask him about it, the director shouted, My shirt on you, you scoundrel! Fits me just right, said Namu coolly as he went on to folding the clothes. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Leave the clothes here and get out. Oh, but Sahib, you have just signed a new contract, haven't you? You can get a dozen shirts like this one. But filching a shirt? You damn it. Now, Sahib, if I had filched it, surely I wouldn't have come here wearing it. Would I have? PL Sahib, tell me. Tell you indeed. Have they put you here to pinch shirts? This is not the world for an honest man, Sahib. Oof. You talking about an honest world? Well, I was only speaking about my Diwalik, Sahib. Now, Diwalik was Namu's corruption of dialogue, and he mouthed such corruptions of English words with ease and assurance, particularly the jargon he picked up from the film studios. Anything said cleverly was Diwalik to him. What dialogue? I asked. Isn't the Sahib's new picture named An Honest World? And the story, Sahib, is it comic or just weepy? How does it concern you? Of course, if it's your story, it must be comic. Well, give me the clothes, Sahib. The latter to the director. Nothing done. And what's the caste, PL Sahib? Is it Sulochana or Hansabai? What about you putting into it? Well, I'm there in each one of your pictures, Sahib, ain't I? And that wasn't untrue either. Namu was always there in the mob scenes, in the bunch at the pawn shop, or among a theatre audience, or in a historical picture, sword, shield, and all yelling out the war cry, Har Har Mahadev. The producer too was pleased for he saved an extra wages. Namu baffles me. I don't think I have ever come across anyone so unblushing. He was most unpunctual in bringing the laundry. Got some kind of a pleasure out of it, I suspect. Namu, you were to have brought the clothes yesterday. Why didn't you? With the expression on his face unchanged, Namu replied, Had a bit too much yesterday. Too much of what? His reply, wordless but most vivid. He straightened out his thumb and jerked it to his mouth. Namu, didn't your father or mother ever tell you of something called shame? Sahib, you must get new pants made. The next time these are washed, there will be all holes. How can that happen to pants in 3 months? Look, this pant seat is finished, true and proper. He held up a pair of trousers exhibiting both sides, as evidence to support his statement. None of your business. Now stop it. Every time Namu calls this with the fresh laundry, he and my wife carry on a debate for a good half an hour on whether the pieces given to him were 11 or 13. Each time, my wife threatens to deduct the cost of the lost pieces from his bill, and the next time the lost cadres show up. Asked to explain, he comes out with something like, "It's human error. After all, man is imperfect." Enough. I know the rest of it. It's lifted from a film for which I had done the dialogue. Namu has such innumerable bits by heart, and songs too, and also the lingo of filmmakers, though he has a way of using it inappropriately. Seen MD Sahib's picture, all fog. What? Fog? Fog. He had heard some cameraman speak of his talk of film turning out fog. Since then, to Namu, the fog has meant plain bad. He went on, the acting is fog and the songs are utterly fog. The very first week, the picture has collected less than the holdover figure. Sahib, how do you know what the holdover figure is? I do the laundry for the manager of Minerva Talkies, Sahib. He said so. Fine. The manager of Minerva talks to you about his business, does he? Well, he was telling his distributor. I only kept my ears open. Nothing seems to defile this Dhobhi. No taint seems to stick. At the Muhurat ceremony of a film, he would push himself right to the front. If a story is being discussed in the office or even a business proposal, Namu sees no reason why he should not be hanging around. Not that he wants to pass for a respectable person. He is not cramped by any feeling of inferiority because he is a Dhobhi. He roams the street with a laundry load on his back. I envy him for his freedom from affections and inhibitions. My wife and I once went to see an English film. Like a white-livered middle-class couple, we had bought upper-class seats. Shortly after the show started, I suddenly felt somebody slapping my thigh. Taken aback, I peered to try and see who it could be. Won't you have a pan, Pir Sahib? I seemed to recognize the voice. It was Namu. Dressed up, without a word, I accepted the pan. Some tobacco also? No bothersome. One can't spit. Pat came the reply from Namu. Right under the chair? Pichkari maro? Hush! Somebody hissed from the front row. Idiot! What's there to be seen in the documentary? The main picture starts after the interval. Came the interval. Sitting next to Namu was a woman well past her youth. She wore a highly respectable look, but I knew she was a film extra. She greeted me with a proper namaste. This is my family, sister. Namu introduced her to my family. Well, my wife had met his family when we had been to his place in Kolhapur, once for a puja. Oh yes, we met at Kolhapur, said my wife, trying to make it proper. Oh no, not that one. This is a Stepney. He wasn't in the least embarrassed, only we were. Changing the subject, I asked, Namu, what can you make of an English film? I have a free pass. Oh, so you wash and wear and tear the clothes of the manager here too? No, the doorkeepers, but it's a swell picture, Sahib. What love scenes! They have whisked the trolley round and round. Acha? Mercifully, the lights went off and the film came on. But Namu continued to educate me, prodding me with his elbow on the long shot and the close-up of and all the rest. But we have got used to his ways and don't mind them, I suppose. Rather like himself, he has no grievances. I don't recall his ever talking against anyone with indignation, nor ever getting elated for that matter. He is like the telegraph transmitter whose tone does not vary whether it is conveying birthday greetings or news of death. Film studios are humming with gossip and scandal and they love to color them. But when Namu brings one to you, it is in a bleached form. He puts as much feeling into it as there is. Say an example in an arithmetic textbook. Sahib, they put handcuffs on Anna Sahib, he told me casually one day. What? What Anna Sahib? Of the Navyug studio? For what? I asked, surprised. I had always felt, however, that someday Anna Sahib was going to get it. Only that the Muhurat had come a little earlier than I had thought. Anna Sahib had quite a long and varied record of cheating. I was tickled by the pious Anna Sahib with his ash smeared forehead and the soulful Vithala Panduranga in his mouth, wearing handcuffs. 6 months at the most, said Namu, taking out my shirt buttons. Why? How much longer? Do they hang you for drinking liquor? Oh, so Anna Sahib was nabbed for drinking, was he? Look, sister, this chaddar's already torn. You must have done it yourself. My wife shot back from the inside room. Forget about the chaddar, Namu. Anna Sahib used to drink every day. Note down the pieces. This is news to me. Namu, but who could be supplying the stuff? Ganpat? Ganpat from the laboratory? Pants 2, Nehru shirt 6, all this in the same even tone. Keep the clothes aside, Namu. You mean Ganpat from the laboratory? The one with the glass eye? See for yourself. This pajama has no string. But tell me, how could Ganpat get the liquor? They work still just behind the studio. How do you know? I do get my drinks from there. That clinched it. What composure. Fit for a saint. Not one superfluous sentence, not word. In the studios, he keep chewing any juicy bit they have got hold of. Kulkarni's popped off, Sahib. That's how one morning, taking out the laundered clothes, Namu dismissed Kulkarni. Actually, Kulkarni's was a most tragic affair. I haven't seen the likes of him among the flute players in filmland. Slight and delicate looking Kulkarni hardly spoke, but he had a shy smile all the time. You should have seen him when his face lit up on getting a tune right. His eyes would sparkle, his lips would tremble. Everyone was so fond of him, and why should this boy have killed himself? Everyone in filmland was deeply moved, the good ones and the bad ones. A producer, notorious for his meanness on his own, sent Kulkarni's mother some 3 or 400 rupees that were the young man's dues. Those 2 or 3 days we had talked of the suicide and of nothing else. So I was mad with Namu for being so offhand about it. Namu, why was this Kulkarni popped off? It's 3 days. I know. He took his own life. God knows what ailed him. Kamal played himself false. Here, this matches was in the pocket, Namu said, placing before me the box of matches he had found in a pocket of pair of trousers in washing. What? Kamal? One of Main's extras. Which one? That fairish one? Yes, yes. Very light eyes. Side heroine in that picture? Lal Kandil? Of course, you know all the gossip of the town, don't you? Kulkarni is my customer. For a moment, Namu forgot that Kulkarni was dead. I had once warned him. Warned him? About what? About Kamal. And Namu, as he tied up his bundle, added a word or two violent words of proper red light due to describe her. Then he went on. Now she's got a chance in the Bombay industry. You remember that Punjabi party which came to Deccan studio for shooting? Well, the director made her an offer for his next picture. Namu was of course repeating the title tattle of the studio, but with his very own detachment. Why should he have killed himself? Chicken heart blighter. And with that Namu hitched up his load and walked out. My contact with Namu came to an end. Shall I say my sartorial contract? I have nothing to do with the films now. But off and on, I happen to meet former colleagues in that profession, and I hear the same old talk about contracts and finance, distributors, etc. Some of them have continued to be assistant for years together. Some evenings they get together at Jeevan Hotel and sipping their tea confide to one another their rather improbable plans. The other afternoon I found such a bunch there. I joined in. I was getting along fine with the friendly crowd when one of them called out, Come here, Namdev Rao. The man dressed looked quite stout and his moustaches were quite impressive. Walking up, the man asked me, Do you recognize me, PL Sahib? It was a minute before I knew him for a good old Namu. He greeted me with Ram Ram Sahib. Namu, have you been a producer or something? He did look rather odd with those moustaches and tell me, Are those mustaches your own? Or come, tug at them and see for yourself, said Namu. They all laughed. But you've put on a lot of weight. Had 6 months rest. Rest? Don't you know, Pierre? One of them asked. Know what? That Namdevrao did a term. Where? In Yervada. Not Yervada, but Nasik, Namu corrected. You mean you went to jail? I asked. 6 months. For what? For running a still. But my dear chap, why did you give up your old bhatti for this one? Sahib, if the new one had gone, I'd have produced a picture. So you have closed down the old one. Why should I? Look, there is my bundle of clothes on that bike there. Yes, there was one strapped to the career of a brand new bicycle. Bought a new one, Somebody asked. Yes. For how much? 60 rupees. And for the dynamo, 60 separate. 60? Stolen goods, I suppose? How else one will get a new bike for 60? Asked Namu without batting an eyelid. How long are you going to be in Pune, Sahib? He asked me. For a week or so. This man, to whom 6 months in jail had done nothing, had shaken me a little. Where are you staying? Right here, at the Jeevan? Shall I come for the washing? No, you needn't. I'll send it to the laundry over there. If you don't bring them back in time, I'll be in a soup. I'll get them urgent, Sahib. No. If you don't bring them in time, you'll have to send them to Delhi. Oh, why send them all the way to Delhi? Your shirts will now fit me very well. I'm as stout as you are, Sahib. Ain't I? Even then I gave him some shirts for washing. He failed to bring them back before I left Pune a week later. He must be using them himself. Next time I'm in Pune, he will come and meet me, and without blushing he'll tell me he has used them, and I'll tell him that I won't see his face again, and having told him that, I'll once again give him some shirts for washing. Now there must be some good in the scoundrel to make me do it. But what it is, I'll never be able to find out. I haven't seen a man so naked and yet involved in the world of clothes. My middle class respectability, prim and proper, is outraged by him, and yet, somewhere within, I envy the man. There, I think, lies the fascination Namu holds for me. Dear friends, this is the end of the story. Please stay tuned for many such interesting stories from the Timeless collection. Thank you.